Other news, Africa's largest economy, Nigeria, has slumped into a recession in the third quarter as oil production dropped to a four-year low. Nigeria's gross domestic product shrank 3.6% in the 3 months through September from a year earlier, compared with a 6.1% contraction in the previous quarter. Now, statistician General Yemi Kale said Saturday in a report released on Twitter, oil production fell to 1.67 million barrels a day from 1.81 million barrels in the previous 3 months, as the lowest since the third quarter in 2016, when the economy was in a contraction that lasted for over a year. And of course, senior economist, CEO, CFG Advisory, TILEWA, ADEBAJO joins us now for the latest. It's good to have you with us. Was this contraction better or worse than expected, you think? TILEWA, if you can hear us, was this contraction better or worse than expected on Nigeria's recession?
Good afternoon. Yes, I can hear you. Well, the contraction, I think, was expected. Some people, from what I read, expected about -5%. The last contraction was -6%. So I think half of that was not bad for what has happened. But I think overall, we're still in a recession. And I think we're officially now in a recession. So I think that is really where the challenges are. So a contraction is not very positive for an economy like Nigeria, with a population of 180 million people. The main challenge we have is the fact that in 2014, our economy grew by 6.5%. Since then, we've seen contractions of -3.5%, and the worst one came last quarter of -6%. Our population since then has been growing at 3.5%. So unfortunately, since 2014, our economic growth has not matched the level of our population growth. And therein lies the challenge.
And given that challenge that you mentioned, how quickly is Nigeria likely to come out of it, especially in quarter four?
Well, in order for you to come out of a recession, we have to take a look at the policies. Like I said, in the last 6 years, our economy has not hit 3% in growth, and our population is growing at 3.5%. So the question is that what have we been doing in the last 6 years? It's important that we create policies that will create growth in the economy, which is what is important. Our economy, with the population size, needs to be growing at least 6% per annum, at the minimum, for us to have sustainable growth and development. So we've seen a new economic policy plan that has been put in place. So let's see how this can be implemented. But it's very unlikely that we're going to see any significant growth next year, even if the oil prices pick up significantly, because there's still a lot of shocks within the economy, and there's still a lot of adjustments we need to make. But having said that, I think the most critical thing we need to do now is we need to unify the exchange rates. We need to remove the subsidies, which are being done. And of course, the price levels are being supported now. And if we see a consistency in policy and synchronization of policy, not just monetary policy, but fiscal policy, trade policy, and investment policy, if we can see the synchronization of that, I think within a year, we should be able to pull out of this recession, in order to answer your question very quickly.
Hopefully so. Now, this is the second recession in recent times, and some say we could have a double dip. So what are the implications on government policy?
Well, it is the government policies that have resulted in the inflation and the stagflation we're in right now, or the lack of policy implementation that has put us where we are. So if you ask me that question, the question is what there's a cause and effect. Inflation did not show up by itself. Low economic growth did not show up by itself. It's as a result of the monetary policy. We have the Monetary Policy Committee that will meet on Monday. And the last committee meeting, they cut rates. Is this going to provide the necessary stimulus in this environment? It's not been an easy year for Nigeria. We've had a triple jeopardy, 3 serious shocks. The COVID pandemic, we've had the NSAS. The economic impact of the NSAS situation has not really been captured in these economic numbers you're seeing. And then, of course, we've had a problem with the economic meltdown. So you have to take a look at the cause and the effect. So you have to ask yourself, what policies has been in place over the last 6 years, and why has that not achieved the desired results? Again, the question you need to ask yourself is that what is the benchmark? What is the goal? What is your objective? That has to be clearly defined. And that way we can measure or not if we're meeting those goals or objectives. So there's cause and effect.
Now, you talk about the CBN Monetary Policy Committee having a meeting on Monday. How will contraction affect their decision?
Well, contraction shows them that officially we're now in recession. So the question now is that what policies are they going to put in place to stimulate growth? Are they going to cut the rates more? They've held the rates over the last 4 years. And so over the last 4 years, they have not cut the rates to create the stimulus. So they did a rate cut the last meeting, but what is the impact of that? We already have a situation whereby inflation is at 15% and the economy is contracted by minus 6% and quite recently -3%. And from all accounts, we probably, if you add the SARS impact, the economy might, the end results for fourth quarter might be a total contraction of about 6% for the end of the year. So not only are you in recession, but you have stagflation. You have runaway inflation. So the signs are clear. And I think it was important that these numbers came out before that NPC committee meeting. So let's see how they're going to react. Are they going to cut rates further? I don't know. We have to understand exactly where it is. But rate cuts, are they going to have any impact given the situation we're in right now? And there's also a government plan, economic plan. So let's see what happens. But it is a very critical NPC meeting.
Indeed, interesting question there. Now, talking specifics now, Professor Doyin Salami, who chairs Nigeria's Economic Advisory Council, commented last week that Nigeria needs a 6% GDP over several years. What needs to change for the country to go from contraction to high economic growth, you think?
Policy. That's the bottom line. Policy, consistency. Like I said that earlier in my presentation. You need to synchronize trade policy, investment policy, fiscal policy, and of course, monetary policy. All those 4 policies has to be synchronized with strong economic leadership. If you do that, you'll get the desired results.
All right, then. Thank you very much for joining us on the program and for clarifying all of those details that you just did there. TILEWA ADEBAJO, senior economist there and also CEO of CFG Advisory. Thank you once again.